Well, hello internets. Good morning. Here we are. Well, welcome to part 2 of the Furness change-out project. Part 1, you've seen us do the demo of the wall around the furnace, knock down a shelf, and do the cleanup. Well, in this part here, we're going to take the truck, head her on down to the hardware store, pick up some lumber, insulation, and all that good stuff. Come on back and stud up the wall downstairs that the hot water heater is going to hang on. So of course, let's get at her, and around we go. Okay, here we are. And now that we've made her on back from the lumber store, we got the stuff in the back of the truck. Now we have to decide how we're going to frame up and attach this here wall section, well, to the house itself. Now, most of the time when you're putting a wall section in a basement and such, you have floor joists similar to that you can nail or screw on into, which will hold the wall section in place and make it fairly stout. However, when you're doing the wall on the opposite side of the basement where the floor joists run with the wall, sometimes you get lucky and there is a floor joist just 6 inches in that you can attach the wall to, and other times you end up with a situation like this where the floor joist is just sitting on top of the concrete and you can't get at it. So what I've done is I've purchased a 2x8, which is the thickness of the floor joists in this house, and what I'm going to do is cut blockings, the exact width or length between that floor joist and of course the one that's sitting on the concrete, put them in there, fasten them on down. Because I'm only doing a 4-foot wall section, I don't have to get crazy with well, cutting up an 8-footer. I can just use a 4-footer, a couple of blockings, and well, call her good. So of course guys, let's throw some measurements, get those 2x8s cut, come on down, fasten them on, and then we're good to roll. Okay guys, so there we go. Of course, as you've seen, got the blockings up on the ceiling. No, not going to screw the sheet of plywood directly to the concrete. I have a plan for that. The other day I had some time, ran some 2x4s through the saw, trimmed them on down to the appropriate length, and now I'm going to stick them together using my handy dandy Porter cable framing nailer. I thought about using my driver and screws, however, it's been a minute since the nailer's been fired up, so well, why not use it and well, make sure it still works. So we'll have to move all those over to our little makeshift workbench. I know digging a 1/2-inch piece of plywood out just for a workbench is a little bit of a waste. However, this here plywood, before the job's over, will be cut down and used as covering for the wall section. So it's all part of the method for my madness. So let's get those pieces over here, laid on out, and then we'll fire up the nailer. Now you don't have to use a framing nailer to stick this together. You can use the tried and true method of, well, your standard hammer and your standard framing nailer and your standard framing nail. However, if you have the tool, why not use it? Okay, there we go. Got the wall section knocked together. The thing I like about air nailers is it takes longer to set up than it does actually to drive the actual nails. Especially if you have the right nails and you're using the right air pressure and compressor and all that good stuff. So we'll throw some measurements, set this wall section aside. start cutting on this piece of plywood below it. A little bit of a progress check-in. Well, as you see, you've got the wall now all stood up. It is screwed in place at the top at the blockings there, and I am going to soon fasten it down to the concrete floor. Now, normally I would use the ramset gun, which is a powder actuated gun that drives a nail into the concrete. However, our local Home Depot does not offer 1 hour rentals, and there's no way I'm paying a full 4-hour rental for a 1 hour or for like a 15-minute use to drive 3 nails in the concrete. So what I've done is I've picked up some Tapcons. They require a hammer drill to drill into the concrete. You put the screw in, effectively making it a pin, and it's good to go. You know, not exactly the way that I want to do it. However, I'm not paying that kind of money out for that kind of rental for, you know, 2-3 nails. In the perfect world, I would have studded up the whole 40-foot wall and did her once, did her right. However, with the budget in such a way it is, this little 4x8 wall is going to be good enough for what needs to be done. Okay, so the wall is now completely fastened on down. I got the insulation now in place. Of course, we could put vapor barrier over top. However, this is not an exterior wall. Vapor barrier is not a must. It's overkill considering what needs to be done. Now, at this point, we could put drywall on this, mud fill the holes and all that good stuff. Get her ready for paint. However, because there is a hot water heater going on here, and potentially electrical and plumbing going to be running from the hot water heater, I would like to cover this here area with a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Now, the plywood is a little more moisture resistant compared to drywall. It'll allow the plumbers to mount the hot water heater more securely on the wall if they happen to miss a stud. And if in the future there is a water leak, the plywood is again a lot more water resistant to running water than drywall is. The only thing about plywood is you really kind of need to paint it afterwards. You can't leave it raw, where drywall is white and kind of blends in, where plywood, you know, again needs to be painted. However, being a little bit of paint is not really a huge deal. We just kind of get her done and it all works out fine. Well, as you've seen, got the wall up, got the plywood on, everything is now good to go. However, unfortunately, did not have time to paint the plywood. I guess it is what it is. We'll have to mask off and we'll paint it in the future. Just have to edge around a few things, but I guess that's the way she goes. When you consider everything that's been going on, I think everything came together in pretty good time. There's only so much one guy can do, and when you're relying on the professionals, you're best just to stand back and let them do their job. So of course, did the preparation, as you've seen there, tore out the shelf, tore out the wall here around the furnace. So they should be able to get at what they need to get at. I don't 100% know exactly how evasive it's going to be. I'm hoping they don't have to cut too many holes in my drywall because, well, you know, patching holes in drywall kind of sucks, but at the worst, we'll get a video series out of it for YouTube, patching holes. If not, then it'll be perfectly fine. But that pretty much cuts to the end of this here part of the video series. In the next part, I will try to shoot as much footage as I can, but they will be changing out the furnace and as well as the hot water heater. Now, like I said earlier, this hot water heater is not expired yet. It's not past its life expectancy. However, you know, when you do one thing, it leads to another. And unless you're wanting to spend extra money on a chimney that, in your grand vision of things, will be removed in the next 5 to 10 years, and by then this hot water heater would have needed to have been replaced by then. So you might as well just do it now, get her over with, and all's well. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.